I bought my first home in early 2022, a small two-bedroom fixer-upper on the edge of town. The price was suspiciously low, but the market was insane at the time, so I assumed I'd simply gotten lucky. The place wasn't huge, but it had a nice yard and a basement, and it felt like the kind of house I could finally settle into. Except, from the first night, something felt off. The house was too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, empty quiet. Like there was a hollow space behind the walls. And there was always this faint smell, like damp clothes mixed with old wood. I assumed it was just the previous owner not maintaining things. On my third night, I heard something that made my skin crawl. I was unpacking boxes in the living room when I heard a thud under the floorboards. Not pipes. Not house settling. A solid, heavy thud, like someone shifting their weight on wood. I froze. After a moment of silence, I heard something else. Breathing. Slow. Steady. Muffled, but undeniably breathing. I grabbed a flashlight and went down into the basement. The noise stopped as soon as I opened the door, but something told me not to ignore it. The basement had a low ceiling, exposed beams, and a half-finished concrete floor. In the far corner was a small wooden hatch I hadn't noticed before, the kind people used decades ago to access old heater lines. When I pulled it open, a blast of cold air hit my face. A crawl space. The beam of my flashlight disappeared into darkness. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, from the blackness, I saw it. A handprint on the dirt. Fresh. The shape was clear, all 5 fingers, pressed deep like someone had been propping themselves up. I backed away immediately. That night, I slept with the basement door locked. The next morning, I called a contractor and asked him to check the crawl space while pretending it was a pre-renovation inspection so I didn't sound like a paranoid maniac. He climbed down, shining his flashlight everywhere. I watched from above, my stomach turning. After a few minutes he called up to me. "There's bedding down here." My heart dropped. He crawled out holding a rolled-up sleeping bag, a dirty backpack, and a half-eaten can of beans. "There's no way this is from the last owner," he said. "This is recent." I called the police immediately. They checked the house but didn't find anyone. They said squatters sometimes sneak into empty houses during sale periods, but assured me the house was clear. So I changed the locks. Installed cameras. Tried to convince myself everything was normal. But 3 nights later, at around 2 a.m., my phone buzzed with a motion alert. Basement camera, movement detected. My heart nearly stopped. I opened the feed. The crawl space hatch was open. And for a few seconds, only a few, a man's head appeared in the frame. Greasy hair. Pale skin. Sunken eyes staring straight up toward the camera as if he'd heard it click. He crawled backward into the darkness and vanished. The police came again, this time armed, but the crawl space was empty. They said he probably bolted through an exterior panel. I sold the house a month later. To this day, I still get chills thinking about how many nights I slept directly above that crawl space, while someone lived right beneath me. In 2019, my girlfriend and I moved into a 2-story starter home in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The backyard was one of the selling points, fenced, private, with a view of a thick tree line. Or so we thought. Our second night there, my girlfriend pointed at the upstairs window directly across the yard from us. "Is that someone staring at us?" I looked. A dark figure stood in the window of the house behind ours. No lights on. No movement. Just a shadowy outline of someone clearly watching. I told her it was probably just a coat rack or something. We were already stressed from moving, and I didn't want to freak her out. But later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, I looked again. The silhouette was still there. Same spot. Same posture. The next morning, it was gone. A week went by with no weirdness, and we forgot about it. Then one night, around 1 a.m., my girlfriend shook me awake. Someone's tapping on the window. It was the faintest, lightest tapping, like a fingernail. Tick, tick, tick. I pulled the blinds open in one quick motion. No one was there. But across the backyard? The silhouette was back in the neighbor's window. Frozen. Facing ours. I finally mentioned it to the neighbor on the left who'd been living there for 20 years. She frowned when I pointed at the house. That place has been empty for months, she said. The owner moved into a nursing home. I didn't want to believe her, so the next afternoon I walked around and looked through the fence. The yard was overgrown. The driveway was empty. The house looked abandoned. So who was standing in the upstairs window? That night, things escalated. At around 3 a.m., we heard footsteps in our backyard. Slow. Crunching on the grass. I peeked through the blinds. Someone was standing directly under our bedroom window. A man. Tall. Thin. Wearing a hooded jacket. His face tilted upward, though the hood covered most of it. He stood there for maybe 20 seconds. Then walked across the yard toward the abandoned house. He slipped through a warped back door as if he'd done it 100 times. And then the silhouette appeared again at the upstairs window. This time I could see the outline of his head turning, until it was facing our house. I called the police. They searched the property, but by the time they entered the house, he was gone. They found signs someone had been staying there, footprints, old food wrappers, a blanket on the floor. But the officer told us something that made my blood run cold. The upstairs window, he said. There's nothing to stand on. The floorboards are rotted straight through. Anyone standing there would fall right to the first floor. Meaning the silhouette wasn't standing. It was hovering in the window frame. We moved out 2 months later. The house is still abandoned. And sometimes, when I drive past at night, I swear I still see a dark figure in that upstairs window, watching. In 2020, I rented a 3-bedroom house with 2 friends. Rent was cheap because one room was unavailable. The landlord said it was being used for storage, and the door was always locked. We didn't care, we just needed a place. For the first month, everything was normal. Until the noises started. Every night around 3 a.m., we'd hear shuffling coming from the locked room. Then a soft thud. Then pacing. Slow, dragging footsteps like someone walking in circles. We knocked. No answer. We pressed our ears to the door. Nothing, unless it was 3 a.m. My roommate suggested the landlord stored something alive in there, like a big dog, but we never heard barking. Just footsteps. Human footsteps. One night, the noises were louder than ever. So I called the landlord. He acted strangely calm. That room shouldn't make any noise, he said. It's empty. Don't go inside. He said it sternly, like a parent scolding a kid. That made us even more suspicious. We decided to put a sticky note over the bottom door crack. If someone opened it, the note would move. The next morning, the sticky note was inside the room. Something, or someone, had pushed it through. That night, the footsteps were aggressive. Fast. Almost frantic. Then came something new. Whispering. Not clear words, but a voice. Low, agitated, pacing back and forth. At 4 a.m., we heard a loud bang, like someone slammed into the door from the inside. We all jumped out of bed and ran into the hallway. The door was shaking. We called the police. When they arrived, the door was silent. They forced it open. The room was empty. Completely empty. No furniture. No boxes. No carpet. Just an old hardwood floor and a single small window sealed shut with paint. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. The dust on the floor had footprints. Human footprints. Fresh. leading back and forth across the room until they stopped in the center of the floor. The print stopped. But nothing, no one, was standing where they ended. We moved out within a week. 2 months later, the landlord sold the house. A new family moved in. A few weeks ago, out of curiosity, I checked the property's Google reviews. Someone from the new family left a comment. "Does anyone know why the locked bedroom at the end of the hall makes noises every night? Something keeps walking around in there."